Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. So this time, you've sent us some interesting marketing material for a product called Testosil, and they're really leaning into this whole reclaim your manhood angle.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of talk these days about testosterone.
It's like they're saying every guy's energy just goes off a cliff as they get older, and this Testosil is the magic solution.
Well, it's true that testosterone levels naturally decline with age. That's well documented. But whether it's a crisis, as some people are saying, that's a bit more complicated. There are a lot of factors that play into it.
Okay, so maybe not time to panic just yet, but this Testosil stuff has a whole bunch of ingredients, and honestly, it's a little overwhelming. We're talking KSM 66, ashwagandha, fenugreek, ZMA. It's like a grocery list of things I've barely even heard of. What are we even supposed to make of all this?
Right, it can definitely seem like a lot. A good place to start might be with the KSM 66, ashwagandha. It's gotten pretty popular recently.
Yeah, I've heard of ashwagandha, but I've always been a little fuzzy on what it actually is.
So basically, it's an extract from this herb that's been used in traditional Indian medicine for centuries. And there's some research showing it could have an impact on testosterone, especially in men dealing with stress.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just some made-up chemical, but how does it actually work?
Well, studies have shown that this specific extract, the KSM-66, it can actually help regulate your cortisol levels.
Cortisol, that's the stress hormone, right?
Exactly. And high cortisol is basically like kryptonite for testosterone. So the ashwagandha might be helping to create an environment where testosterone can thrive.
Makes sense. And, I have to admit, I've been pretty stressed lately myself, so maybe that's something I should look into, even beyond the testosterone aspect. But okay, let's move on to this fenugreek. Isn't that something you cook with?
It is. It's a spice. And, interestingly, there's some early research suggesting it might have some testosterone boosting potential too. It's thought to block the conversion of testosterone into estrogen.
Ah, so it's like a 2-for-1 deal, potentially boosting testosterone and keeping the estrogen in check. Is that the idea?
Yeah, that's the general idea.
Yeah.
But our bodies are complicated, so it's not quite as simple as just popping a pill.
Mm-hmm.
But some studies have shown it can have a noticeable effect, especially for guys who have lower than average testosterone levels to begin with.
Interesting. It's like each of these ingredients has its own little mechanism, right? Okay, what about this ZMA? It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It's actually much less intimidating than it sounds. ZMA is just a fancy way of saying zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B6 all combined.
Wait a minute. Those are just like normal vitamins and minerals, right? What do those have to do with testosterone?
You're right. They are essential nutrients, but they play important roles in a bunch of bodily functions, including testosterone production. Zinc, for instance, is super important for making testosterone.
Okay, so it's like the zinc is a key ingredient in the testosterone recipe. What about the magnesium and B6?
Magnesium is great for a lot of things, but one thing that's relevant here is that it helps with muscle recovery and sleep, which can both indirectly impact your testosterone. And then you've got B6, which is involved in all sorts of metabolic processes and hormone regulation.
Got it. So not necessarily a testosterone booster on its own, but more like providing those essential nutrients that your body needs to function at its best.
Exactly. It's like giving your body the tools to do what it's supposed to do naturally.
Okay, so we've got the ashwagandha, fenugreek, and ZMA, but the marketing material also mentions something called D-aspartic acid. I'll be honest, I've never even heard of this one. What is it, and what's it doing in this mix?
Right, so D-aspartic acid, or DAA, is an amino acid.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike those other ingredients we talked about, this one is more directly involved in testosterone production.
Directly how so?
Well, DAA plays a role in creating luteinizing hormone, or LH for short. And LH is like the messenger that tells your body to make more testosterone.
Oh, okay. So it's like the DAA kicks off this chain reaction that leads to more testosterone.
That's a good way to think about it. And in fact, the Testosil marketing actually highlights this whole process. They're claiming it can increase testosterone levels by, get this, up to 42% in just 12 days.
42% in 12 days? Seriously? That just seems, I don't know, a little hard to believe. Is there really evidence to back that up?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. There have been some studies that show DAA can cause a short-term bump in testosterone. But when you look at the long term, it's not so clear-cut.
So maybe not a permanent fix then.
Right. And it's worth noting that a lot of these studies are done on men with fertility issues or who already have clinically low testosterone. So whether it has the same effect on healthy guys is still up for debate.
That's a good point. Just because something works one way in a study doesn't mean it'll be the same for everyone. But, it's interesting. We've been really focused on these individual ingredients and how they might affect testosterone. But maybe we should zoom out a little. Isn't there more to the picture when it comes to men's health?
Absolutely. Testosterone is just one piece of the puzzle. It's easy to get fixated on it, but focusing solely on boosting it can sometimes overshadow other important aspects of men's well-being.
So what are some of those other pieces we should be thinking about? If it's not all about testosterone, what else contributes to feeling your best?
Well, for starters, you can't underestimate the power of lifestyle. Things like sleep, stress management, regular exercise, those all have a huge impact on your hormones, testosterone included.
It's funny because even as we've been breaking down this Testosil formula, we've actually touched on some of those lifestyle factors already.
Exactly. Take the ashwagandha, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it might have some direct effect on testosterone, but remember, it's also supposed to help with stress. So if you're less stressed, you might sleep better, be in a better mood, and all those things can have a ripple effect on how you feel.
It's like taking care of one area of your health can spill over into these other areas.
Exactly. And, you mentioned earlier that you've been a little stressed lately. Have you noticed any changes in your sleep or energy levels because of it?
Now that you mention it, I haven't been sleeping as well, and yeah, I have been feeling a little more run down than usual.
It's not uncommon. Stress can really mess with your sleep and energy. And there's some interesting research suggesting that ashwagandha could be especially helpful with mitigating the negative effects of stress on testosterone, particularly for people dealing with work-related stress. So, given what you shared, it makes you wonder if that stress factor is playing a role.
That's a good point. I usually think of stress as this mental thing, but it makes sense that it would show up physically too.
Oh, absolutely. Our minds and bodies are constantly talking to each other. So yeah, a supplement like Testosil might have some potential benefits, but it's not a magic bullet. You've got to address those underlying lifestyle factors too. In your case, maybe that's stress management.
Right, it's all connected. So we've talked about sleep, stress. What about exercise? Where does that fit in? Yeah, exercise. It's easy to forget about that part. So working out is good for you, yeah, obviously, but what's the connection to testosterone specifically?
Well, if you really want to move the needle on testosterone, resistance training is key.
So like hitting the weights.
Yeah.
Or even just body weight stuff at home.
Exactly. When you challenge your muscles that way, it signals your body to produce more testosterone. And it's not all about getting jacked, although, hey, that's a nice bonus for some people. But resistance training also helps with bone density, insulin sensitivity, a whole bunch of good stuff.
Gotcha. So we've got sleep, stress, exercise, all starting to come together. Anything else we should be thinking about?
We can't forget about diet. You know what they say, you are what you eat, and that applies to testosterone too.
Right. So what should we be loading up on?
The usual suspects: fruits, veggies, lean proteins, healthy fats. Basically, a balanced diet that's not full of junk.
Makes sense. And I'm guessing processed foods, sugary drinks, that kind of stuff is probably not helping.
Yeah, those are definitely not doing you any favors in the testosterone department. And here's an interesting one. Some research suggests that being low on vitamin D might be linked to lower testosterone as well. So if you're not getting enough sunlight, especially in the winter, a vitamin D supplement could be something to consider.
Ah, the sunshine vitamin. Always wondered about that one.
It's really amazing how interconnected everything is, It's not about obsessing over any one thing, but more about creating this lifestyle that supports your body's natural processes. And ultimately, that's the message I hope you take away from this whole conversation.
It's definitely given me a lot to think about. We started with this Testosil supplement and its big promises, but we've really gone way beyond that, haven't we?
We have. And, it's important to say that a supplement like this might have its place, but it's just one small piece. It's not a magic bullet. And it definitely works best when it's combined with those healthy habits we've been talking about.
Totally agree. It's like a good reminder that real health, it comes from within. It's about those daily choices you make to support your body.
Well said. The more you know about how your body works, the better decisions you can make for yourself.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. That's it for our deep dive on Testosil and the world of testosterone. We hope you learned something new, and hey, maybe you even feel a little inspired to make some positive changes.
It's been great chatting with you all.
And remember, this is just the beginning. Keep learning, keep exploring, and most importantly, take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time.